This is Caleb Crouch, and you're in the Short Go. Come to you from Mark chapter 14, 1 through 11, and focusing on 10 and 11 at the end. But before I get there, we have a woman who brings a gift, a very valuable gift to Jesus. And she's doing all she can to pay him back. And you'll find in verse 4, though, that the people are upset because this is a valuable gift. It's about a year's worth of wage, and she breaks it, and she pours it on Jesus' head, and to some it was a waste, but to her it was worth everything. Jesus rebukes him and says, "Leave her alone." This leads to the sad fact that stands out to me, that while he is being given one of a gift that says, "I love you," in the most beautiful way, his own disciple chooses to betray him. 10 and 11, Judas gets caught up in the differences and the peer pressure and many other things, and ego really, and he chooses to betray Jesus. Got 5 things. A misconception. Judas couldn't understand the big picture. He was seeing from his point of view and not stepping back and looking at maybe there was something more to this. Second, a chosen misunderstanding. Once he couldn't understand, he chose to disagree with Jesus. That's always a dangerous. To disagree with Christ and his word is always a danger. Third, a misconduct. When he chose this, he got hard-headed and stubborn, and he acted in a reactionary way. You know, anybody that listens to this, including myself, when we react, we're naturally protecting ourselves, and typically without even meaning to, sometimes we hurt the other person on the other end. And Judas reacts, and he makes a very dangerous decision, which leads me to fourth, a mistaken decision, both involving money. He thought it was a waste of money here, and then he goes over, and we know the end of the story, that he gets paid for ratting out or betraying Christ, the one he had followed for the last 2 to 3 years. And we find last a mutilation of the soul. He ended his life in regret and false hope, and then sadly suicide. Let me warn you that that's never the answer. Never. We find that there was another disciple, Peter, who betrayed Christ to quite an extreme and wept bitterly himself, and he was upset, and he went back to his ways before he come to Christ. And when Christ came back, there was reconciliation made, which can happen for you and I. And Jesus, when the Spirit filled Peter, Jesus was able to use him in tremendous ways. The Acts accounts you can find where Jesus used him more than he'd ever imagined, more than we could. Beware of how close you and I are to the tendencies of Judas. Jealousy, ego, pride, and even a differing opinion can lead one's soul in a reckless and helpless direction. Judas had experienced it all, yet he betrayed Jesus Christ. Beware. Judas had been changed by Jesus. He had been caught up, though, in the circumstances and peer pressure and maybe even the responsibility of counting money that made him lose touch of all that Jesus had done for him personally, and lose touch of all the things that Jesus had done for others, including this woman who's giving back. And most importantly, he forgot the worthiness, the value that Christ brought to life.